Hello, hello. Nice to see everyone. Welcome.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
You.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you. I'm Jody. And gentlemen,
Yeah,
always in your baseball caps and tank tops. I tell you, it must be nice to live in Australia.
So good. Beautiful day today.
This is my wife, Jade.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
nice to
Jade.
meet you. Pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Hi, Mark.
Excellent.
And she's out.
And she's up.
Oh, good stuff. So, you guys got
Hey,
big
good-
smiles
good
on
luck,
over
Jade.
there.
Hey, Jade, turn it off.
Sorry, guys, what was that?
Turn off the kettle.
I said it looks like you guys have big smiles over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Always good.
every day is a winning day, regardless if you lose at court, you know?
That's true.
Because we didn't, in my eyes, I didn't lose because not only did I surrender one birth certificate, I surrendered two. So what I'll jump in and give you a quick rundown what happened.
Yeah, give her.
All right, so we had court on Tuesday morning. Usually there's about, say, 50 people outside the courtroom waiting to all go in and get slaughtered. But they closed the day. There was no one there, right? It was just me and about 10 of my good mates here.
No.
Yeah, it was. So as soon as I rocked up, I'm like, oh, and the media's out front with the cameras doing this thing because I'm a big deal over here, you know?
Yeah, you are.
So anyways, the camera's there, but there's no one sitting up front. So I'm like, oh, well, must have done something, you know, maybe the paperwork is working. So we walked up and she's like, oh, I said I'm here for the Lisk matter or the James matter, whatever. And she said, no problem. And I said, before we can go in, Sheriff, can you please ensure the magistrate is in possession of my documents? Right? And she said, yeah, no problem. And so basically she went in, came out and said, yeah, she's got all your documents. I'm like, okay, let's go, you know?
Big.
So, yeah.
Time.
So we basically, we walked into the court. I got in there about 9:45 and I put my bag on the table and I was just getting like set up. And the judge walked straight in, like within like 10 seconds of me being there. And she sat down and I was just like, you know, I had all these documents, I had my whole spiel ready to go and I was just getting it organized. And she's like, so Mr. Lisk, are you ready to go? And I'm just like, oh, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. And she's like, so you are Mr. Lisk. And I was like, look, listen, I've just walked into the court. I need a minute to get organized.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she's like, so you are Mr. Lisk. And I said, just give me a minute. So I just took a minute, you know, so straight off the bat, she's like trying to trap me,
Yeah.
you know, and it just clicked like straight away. I'm like, so obvious, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So obvious. So, so basically I said like my opening line, what she's like, so what's your name? And I said, well, I said exactly what you said there. And it was like, my name would reflect evidence of an assignment of a security to a secured party and who is in possession of the security. And I said, Your Honor, I have evidence that, I said, Your Honor, I can put forth evidence that the security was delivered to the courthouse and now is in possession of Your Honor. I said straight away, I said, because of this, I put forth a plea and abatement to stop these proceedings in its track because the defendant is no longer in possession of the character in which he's being sued, Your Honor. Yeah, I know. So I was like,
He's good.
I was just going, boom, 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 boom. So like for me, it was like, oh, this is insane, right? And my heart was just like pumping. And I had Josh and Jade in the back as witnesses, so it was like, thank God. But she just deflected, right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, now I know, like they're like the magicians of deflection, and they just like dodge the question and go to something else. And then it was cool because I knew she wasn't gonna be like, yeah, I got it, duh. So I was kind of expecting her to have some resistance, but she just kind of turned it and goes, oh, well, we're here for the Lisk matter and blah, 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 blah. And due to the COVID or X-19 restrictions and Mr. Lisk did this and Mr. Lisk and I'm like, Your Honor, clearly didn't hear what I said. You know, I'm here because of this and this and this and this, and you're in possession of the security, Your Honor. And then she just kept blanking it, blanking it.
Yeah.
And then I just kept, it was just literally me and her, like I'm going uppercuts and she's just dodging them, just boom like this, right? And just dodging them. And I'm just like, nothing's hitting, right? And so, and then I'm like, well, I put forth a motion to seal this court because clearly this is an equitable matter and not for the eyes of the public, just like you said, man. And I was just fucking killing it. But she just goes, denied, and this is why we want to have this conversation, because I want to know what I could have done to push that more. But I'll finish the story so then we can come back to it. So basically, it was me and her, just back and forth. Like the prosecutor would jump in and I'd be like, objection, prosecutor. I haven't even finished talking yet. Just sit down. So I was just, I don't know. Ask these guys. I owned the courtroom.
He was so good. Like he was incredible.
Yeah.
He did way better job than I could have done. I'm telling you right now. 4 weeks practice. Yeah.
It was insane. So anyways, it was me and her back and forth, and I just wasn't budging. She just kept going back to Mr. Lisk did this and Mr. And I'm like, Your Honor, you haven't even heard what I said. Clearly, I've put forth evidence that here I am under this and this, and you're in possession of security. The sheriff has even confirmed that you have it, Your Honor. And then so basically she gets up and walks away. Just says, I'm having a hissy fit, and clears the courtroom. I'm probably mid-speech, and she just goes boom and runs away. And I'm like, well, what happens? Then what happens? And so I go talk to Josh and my wife, and I'm just like, I don't know, just keep going, I guess, And then a couple of minutes later, she comes back in. Then I know when she comes back in, she's cleared the slate and she starts again.
Yep.
So here we go again, to do the same stuff over again. It was like literally, I just felt like I was on repeat. It was so frustrating. I was just like repeat, same shit, And she wouldn't, she just kept dodging it, and everything I said. And then I put forth a plea in abatement, I did all this stuff, and she just goes, boom, misses it. That's not relevant here, or I don't hear that, or that doesn't make sense, in here. We're here for this and this and this and this, and it was just like, my hands are up, right? I'm like, I'm doing everything. I'm throwing everything at her. The prosecutor is just like, he's just like mumbling over there. He doesn't even know what's happening. Literally. The actual guy who brought me in the case was like taking his hat off and like shaking. He's like, oh man, this is just not working, And then the reporters in the back, they said when the second time she walked out, so basically went back and forth again, then she ran away again, And so the second time she runs away. So I'm like, what do we have to do to penetrate? What do we have to do to penetrate? And so, and so then I was like, okay. So I'm like, I went to the sheriff and I'm like, I need 20 minutes. And she's like, I can't 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, fine. Give me like 5 minutes. So I took Jade and Josh and went out to a private room, and I had a second birth certificate, right, ready to go. But I didn't want to do it and make it final unless I needed to. So in the back room, Jade's scribbling on the birth certificate, adverse claim, surrender for redemption, all this stuff. I got the silver coin. He's got the tape. We make a whole new one.
Put it into the silver eye.
Put the thumbprint on. We did the same thing. I took a photo of it. And so I'm like, oh, this is nuts. And so then I go back in with the new surrendered adverse claim, the new adverse claim document ready to go. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. You're like, if you don't recognize that one that's in the court, well, here's another one.
If they're not going to acknowledge what they have in front of them, I'll put forth another one straight in front of them. And then I did the sheriff stuff there.
Nice.
Darren, I gifted to the sheriff. So she walks back in, and basically the same. Man, it was like,
She walked back in with extra police officers.
Oh yeah, sorry. She walked back in. There was four more cops that came in behind her.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh well, obviously third time's or she's out, right? I don't think she can leave 3 times. Third time she throws the court. I'm not sure, but so she brought in more cops, but I brought in my birth certificate again. So I was like, okay, got something else to put in there.
Nice.
So again, you got to establish who you are and what you're doing and correct the mistake. And she's like, oh, you pleaded not guilty. And I'm like, yeah, Your Honor, that was a mistake, Your Honor. I've got new knowledge that comes forth, and I'm now standing here as a protected purchaser. I put forth the adverse claim. You're in possession of it, Your Honor. So let's move this into equity, Your Honor. Like, what's the problem? That was like pretty much what I was saying,
This isn't an equity court.
Yeah.
It doesn't do
And she's like, oh, I can't deal with that. I'm like, well, I give you permission to move this from public into private,
Nice. Nice.
Oh man, I was doing everything I possibly could, right? And then it wasn't working. And then I put down the birth certificate. I'm like, fine, if you don't recognize what's in your lap right now, Your Honor, I'll put forth a new surrender certificate under an adverse claim. Can you please instruct the sheriff to accept my gift? I did the same thing that you said. I know, but you know what the sheriff did? The sheriff just looked at me like this and went, and then I went, Your Honor, can you please instruct the sheriff to accept my gift? You know what she said? Oh, I don't have the authority to do that. Your sheriff, who's your superior? I'm just like, Your Honor, are you kidding me? You don't have the authority to tell the sheriff what to do. Will you say that under the penalty of perjury and under oath that you don't have the authority to instruct the sheriff?
See,
You know?
you had her so in a quarter. Oh my God.
I know, and I did. And then I'm like, fine, I'll gift it to the sheriff. And I put it on his feet. I put it on her feet, right? And I'm like, here.
Yeah, because the sheriff goes, I don't want it. So James said, I'm putting it on her feet.
Yeah.
And put it on the sheriff's feet.
And I said, now it's surrendered. The birth certificate is surrendered. It's under an adverse claim. I stand here as the protected purchaser, Your Honor. And I was like, oh my God, like again. And then the judge just goes, boom, get him out of here. And they just came and just grabbed me and just fucking pulled me out, And then they continued along. Well, there's no confirmation on this because I haven't had any notices. I haven't had anything delivered to Mr. Lisk. Shouldn't say my last name or whatever, nothing's come to the post, nothing's been emailed. So supposedly they continued on without me and they fined Mr. Lisk. But what we're thinking is potentially because they're now in possession of 2 titles of Mr. Lisk, they've continued it to continue the facade, for the media, because the media was outside ready to go, to spin it and make me look like an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And they've just continued it to keep the facade up, but in reality, they've just charged themselves.
Yes.
Or
now you could literally tell the judge, Your Honor, settle that claim.
Exactly right. Yeah. So it was insane. Like my heart and my adrenaline was going the whole freaking day. I couldn't sleep. And it was just, I feel good now, reflecting on it now, but I want to know what I could have done to improve it, because we have other freedom fighters going up again, and they need help. And I think what I could have done, and I'll let you go in a second, but I think what I could have done is just when the magistrate says, no, I deny your motion, I was good with the prosecutor. I was good going, oh, object to your whatever the heck you're saying because it's not valid.
Yeah.
Can you do that to the judge and say objection to your objection because your objection, please provide evidence of why you're objecting, or why you're denying me to put the motion to seal the court. Like, give me some proof.
Yeah, absolutely. Dean used to say that all the time. I don't give a fuck what you say.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah,
I don't recommend saying that now because we're actually trying to be friends with them. But no, you could object to what they're saying. I don't accept that, Your Honor, not a chance. And here's why. Boom, boom, boom. But here's, guys, in a quick 3 sentences, this is why. You sneak attacked them by dropping that right at kind of the last minute. They weren't expecting that. They weren't prepared. If we were able to send that abatement in, say early last week or mid last week, you wouldn't even had to show up yesterday. But the fact that we didn't get it in time, and we didn't get the instructions in time, incredible lesson for you guys here. But this is essentially what happened. You did abate the case. They did have to just proceed for the public, so it maintains the public illusion. You're absolutely correct. But what you do now is she's actually already giving you your remedy. Because, Your Honor, you wouldn't hear any of my equitable defenses in the public court. That forces you to allow me to now come into equity through chambers.
Okay.
And that's your remedy. Because you couldn't play ball here, there's another field to go play on over there, and that's judges' chambers. So now I'll help you guys draft a quick correspondence, because if they pass the judgment, or did they make an order yesterday, or did they say you're guilty?
Well, I don't know. I personally, so Mr. Lisk.
Okay.
Last name, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. Who cares? We're you know what? Actually, Lisk is gone anyway. Lisk is gone. So he hasn't the entity hasn't received anything. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, that's so far so good. What we're gonna do now is give them just another couple of days, probably even Friday. We can send basically what we're gonna send in is a correspondence now saying, hey, like I was just mentioning, you couldn't hear any of my stuff at law, so now you're gonna hear it in equity.
Nice.
Do you
Yeah.
deny my claim? That's literally all it has to say.
Mhm.
And clerk, I require a motion date set for I don't know, 2 weeks from now or 10 days from now to rehear this matter in equity. And because they're sitting on the securities, they have to grant your motion. They have to.
Yeah.
It's literally
Wait.
that simple. So yeah, you did a bang up job yesterday. And even though it felt like she was deflecting it, it's because she had to. You were literally standing right at her throat with a sword.
Yes.
She couldn't
Yeah.
acknowledge anything you were doing with the cameras there.
Yeah.
And if she denied the motion to seal it, that's just because she's trying to tell you, hey, let's just come back in equity. Let me find you guilty publicly, but then that's going to give you the remedy to come back and rehear it in equity and then mop the floor. So the first round here is just for show.
Yeah.
That's all it's for. And now you're going to come back and stomp in the background anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
And clearly she knows you're not messing around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And look, I was just wondering, but yeah, well, perfect. You answered my question. What do I do next, and how do we find a solution to this?
Yeah. So yeah, we're basically just going to wait for them to produce an order saying that yes, Mr. James Lisk was found guilty. Great. Thank you for settling the titles, Your Honor. Now we're going to have our hearing in equity, our rehearing, and the specific wording for that in Latin is de novo hearing in equity, which means rehearing. So
yeah.
They're starting to bend. They're starting to come around. They're starting to do their thing properly because we just had our little thing here on Monday where we rolled in, no masks. There's 4 of us. We walked up
one after another.
We walked up the stairs. The sheriff is standing there saying, "Where's your mask? Where's your mask?"
He couldn't get out of his chair fast enough. He was like,
trying to stop us, right? So I handed him the one piece of paper that was basically just a quick notice. And I will post the notice for you guys here a little later. I don't have it right with me right now, but it was pretty short. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty incredible. The sheriff was looking at it for a moment. He read about the first, 3 sentences maybe. And then he said, okay, well, I'm going to have to call my manager on this one. And I said, yes, because I already forwarded this to your manager, Amy, this morning. Oh, you know my manager? Yes, we do. And this applies to her. Therefore, it applies to you. So he leaves. He comes back in about 45 seconds. And says, yeah, okay, it's okay. You guys can come on in.
Well, he pretended to read the letter.
Yeah,
he understood.
Yeah.
He was like
45 seconds, pretty quick to go suss it out and come back. Oh yeah, you're okay now. Yeah.
It was pretty fast. So they were waiting for us again because we did send that email earlier in the morning saying, yeah, we're going to be here at about 1:30, so be ready for us. And the fact that we actually did show up, I think it kind of caught them off guard a little bit.
Yeah.
So we get brought into the court desk area, where all the clerks are. And the sheriff actually closes the door and tells us they're not going to let anybody else in here while we're in here.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Excellent.
So they're totally respecting the mask thing and our private stuff. And because the sheriff said, well, who are you? And I said, just tell your manager that we're private individuals with perfected security interests.
And then Darren had to repeat it to him again because he got him on the phone. And he was like, what was it again?
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Repeat?
Yeah. What does
There's
that mean?
Private interests. What was it again?
Yeah. So he had no idea what was going on. But like I said, the lead sheriff was now in the court desk area where the clerks are. She's standing in the background. We're already talking to the clerk now. We're already starting to pass papers back and forth. I'm telling her some of our story. And it didn't take very long, but long the story of it is here that they accepted and they took our chancery filings.
Wow.
Yeah, they accepted
We had to
it.
go through 3 clerks, I think,
Yeah,
to finally get to the top.
it
And
took-
she still had to call her manager.
Yeah.
Which we don't know who this manager is, but
Yeah.
I'm sure she was watching in the camera.
Yeah, but she's like, wow, I've never seen this before. It's like, well, of course not. Yeah, of course we're the first, especially in a smaller town like this. However, once we explained a little bit of it, and once I showed her the personal property security agreement, right, from land titles, once the court clerk saw that and she actually read it, she took her time and she actually looked at it. And she's like, okay, yeah, what can I do for you guys? She says,
Wow.
and she became very cooperative, very friendly, very, oh yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. Stamped our stuff,
Yeah.
signs it, puts the court file number on it. And again, this is a chancery listing. This has been a unicorn that's been eluding us for the better part of 10 to 15 years. I've been working exclusively on trying to get a chancery filing into court for the last 6 years.
And can you explain a chancery just a little bit so people
Okay, and
understand?
again, so for those that are going to be watching this, okay, what's the chancery filing? Well, the chancery is the equity side of the court. It's where all our private, inherent, special rights are hiding. None of that stuff is available publicly. So typically we're getting put through the public slaughterhouse, and we are debtors and we're liable and we're like sinners and we're a bunch of like sheep and no good. So we get, lambasted all the time. Whereas the chancery side is the other side of the court that will look at the fact that we're trying to do something with a birth certificate. We're trying to do the honorable thing with the birth certificate, and we're trying to come with clean hands. Now the judge actually can come and play by a whole different set of rules on the chancery side. So the chancery side is a bit of a ghost. We've had many astute students doing this stuff for years, walk into a public courthouse and say, where's the chancery court? I can't find it on the directory. What room is it, please? And the clerks always say, chancery doesn't exist. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've heard that story for years. We've been looking for chancery because we actually thought it was a courtroom. Like, do we got to go in the basement? Like, what are we doing here? And then then we come to find out chancery is on the four corners of your paperwork. That's where it is. It's in your mind. It's in what you're writing. That's the chancery. And as long as you bring enough substance and enough subjective matter so that the clerk can look at it. And guys, when we post this and you see how short this is, you're gonna be blown away.
Awesome.
Blown away at how short this is.
Mhm.
Like,
Team, good job, amazing.
yeah. So we did it. So we got Jody's in, and Tamara's also got files. So we literally got 2 chancery docket numbers, 2 chancery hearings in like 10 minutes apart.
Oh, yeah, she was like, ching, ching, ching.
And does it say stamp chancery or does it say something else? Or
No, so we handwrite in there chancery listing special, and then they go ahead and they stamp on top in red.
Mhm.
There's
yeah.
There's not one surname in the proceeding. It's Jody Lynn heir.
Heir.
As an heir to the decedent.
H-E-I-R.
Yeah,
That was the title we got.
Yeah, as in
Tamara Lynn and Jody Lynn, heir.
heir, right? As in heir to our property rights. As in we're here for a property claim. We're recovering against land. We have a situation here, Your Honor. And look how simple this is. And like I said, you guys will be blown away at how short this is. I actually can't believe how short it was.
And it was funny as the clerks were kind of going back and forth and they're like kind of talking and calling and doing all their stuff on the computer. There was this one section of the courtroom or where we were filing where Darren could kind of hide away where the girls couldn't see him at all, but we could. And he's doing everything not to do a happy dance in the corner. He's got a camera in front of him, right? So he's just trying to stay in his skin. It was just so funny because Darren's always like even keeled.
Yeah.
So to see him he's like, I can't believe this is happening, like I'm like, okay, yeah, right. Like we need to be more excited about this because this guy's coming out of his skin, right?
Yeah.
So it was amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, just between what you're doing and what we're doing, like we are carving a massive block out of the conventional system, and bold as lions, right? Come forward with clean hands. Justice and equity has to come to your aid. And because again, we knew going into public court at the first level, we only go in there to get slaughtered. We literally can't win there because we're coming as the defendant. We literally have no rights. Therefore, hey, Your Honor, just hear my equitable pleadings. I know you're going to find me guilty anyway, but let's just get on with it so I can get to my equity hearing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now you come back in the rehearing, which is actually the appellate level, right? You don't have your rehearing in the tribunal level. No, you move up a notch.
Yeah.
You go up to the appellate level because now you can rain down equity. And now the judge will do a 180. She will be apologizing for her behavior the other day, but she had no choice because you came at her like this.
Yes.
Alive.
I did. and my feet and my head butt, I was just knocking her around and she was just going, poof, poof, take it. But she didn't fall down. That was the thing. She never fell down. I was like, what do I got to do to knock her out,
Well, literally, her falling down was her leaving 3 times.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's why I was like, damn, this is working, you know? Fuck yeah, like getting somewhere. And then she came back and threw me out.
Here's the funny thing. Okay, so what I want you to do while everything's pretty fresh, just write out your story there as quick as you can. Oh, not as quick, but as good as you think it needs to be. Because here's why. When you guys go to order that transcript, guess how much of your court hearing is going to be on that transcript?
Yeah.
Take a guess. Nothing. There'll be nothing on your transcript. It'll all be inaudible.
Yeah, she kept telling the recorder, whoever's there, to turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on. But then whenever she goes, okay, turn it on now, she assumed that I was gonna let her just continue along with Mr. Lisk, right? But as soon as Mr. Lisk, oh, my name doesn't matter. As soon as Mr. Lisk got named, I just go, boom, objection. Mr. Lisk is a piece of paper, Your Honor. How can he talk? I'm here as such and such and such. So they couldn't, whenever they thought they were getting somewhere, I just stopped it in its tracks. And it was actually really easy to do that. It was really easy to stop them, but I just couldn't, like we were saying before, like the force field, and like you can't get through the force field no matter what you do. Even if you got like a tank, you just bounce off it and bounce off it.
Yep.
So it's like, I was hopeful that I was gonna have a win, you know.
Yep.
I could have.
Yeah, and you, like I'm mentioning, she actually has given you the win on a silver platter by saying, because you couldn't get through the public force field, we're gonna let you come in the back door in equity.
Wow.
That's all.
That's there's a silver lining, and we knew something was there. We just weren't sure what the next move was, but
yeah, dude, you rocked that place, absolutely. And the fact that they already had the courthouse shut down, that's because they did not want anybody hearing what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've actually never heard of the judge telling the court reporter to turn off. I've actually never heard that before. Oops, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, turn off, turn on, and it was just like, we'll just leave the recording. I was just thinking, like,
see, that's how much. That's how much they got to protect the record, because they can't have this information getting out. You just walked in as a nuclear bomb and went boom.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And they had to extinguish it with the corruption. They couldn't. Yeah, and then, fair enough. So
tell them about disclaiming the trust.
Oh yeah, disclaiming the trust. Oh yeah, that was another line. I just kept going, Your Honor. You know, are you disclaiming, like, once I put forth everything, I was like, okay, so now I've put forth an adverse claim, you know, here I have this. I'm like, Your Honor, so can you please, on the record, say if you do or do not disclaim the trust?
What'd you say?
And she would deny it and deny it and deny it and deny it. And then I got her once, and she's like, I'm like, Your Honor, you just admitted that you're not disclaiming the trust.
Yes.
And then I was like, so obviously we're here for an equitable matter, Your Honor. Let's seal the court. But like, I literally was dancing like that for oh man, forever. So we have some audio that we will happily get when it's all finished and tied up, that potentially maybe is worthwhile. But you know, from the courts, obviously not personally from the courts yet. Yeah. So it's So I'm 90% sure I got her on the record saying that she did not disclaim the trust, and then I go boom on the record with all these witnesses. Your Honor has not disclaimed the trust. So let's move this into equity, Your Honor.
Yep.
It was like I was just fucking uppercutting, but I expected more, but that's just because we could never win that day.
Yeah, no, dude, that's a victory right there. Believe it or not, that is.
We need to get you just to go to court more, just so you can tell these stories. You're so good at them.
He's so good. He was just really, it was like he'd been a barrister for 10 years, and he's just been practicing for 4 weeks. Yeah. And I'm sure like the prosecutor was just looking going, this wasn't the guy who was in here last time, you know, like, but he just owned it. Eh?
That's the awesome part. Look at the knowledge difference, right?
Knowledge is power.
You were walking in as a helpless defendant victim before, and now you walk in as a coming to be plaintiff with control who actually knows some stuff, made the judge leave a bunch of times, turning the court recording system off. Man, again, you were
knocked down.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, awesome.
Excellent job, guys.
Well, I do know Mark below is he's up in a couple of weeks' time, and we live close, so I'm going to go assist as much as possible. So we're going to be working close with me and him, and like, again, he's up for a bit more serious offenses, which is all
Alleged and
crap, like literally all crap. So obviously Mark's feeling like, a bit under the pressure, and his time's coming. So he wanted to jump on to get some.
Yeah, awesome. And here's the actual the incredible part about the abatement is it's supposed to be the first plea you enter. And if the judge is saying that she kind of busted you with you've already got a plea of guiltiness in here, well, that was that throws a bit of a wrench into it, but it doesn't matter because the abatement will still be effective because, Your Honor, I just came into a whole bunch of new knowledge. Forgive me. And of course they have to. Whereas Mark, he's not going to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. He's going to enter he'll enter his plea of abatement, and he'll do it ahead of time. And then he doesn't even need to show up.
Okay. Wow. That would be, that'd be a relief for you, eh, Mark?
You're like, I want that one.
Yeah. And then once that is settled, we're already sending paperwork in so that the moment that court case is over and it's settled, however they want to play that out, here's our motion for our rehearing in equity, even before that court case is over. We're already motioning for a rehearing.
Wow.
Right now. Because you're all in possession of the securities. You got the security agreement. I've already got some stuff filed at land titles because between now and then we'll help you guys get a little bit further with the personal property security registries. And then you guys are laughing. So again, you totally caught the judge off guard with that one. And if we had a little bit more time to have that land titles output in your possession, that would have just made your case even crazier, stronger. And you literally would have been able to just roll in with your control number and just say, hey, Your Honor, this is what we're doing now, and just literally take over. And the judge has to say, okay. Yeah. So like literally that close. But
well, we were just saying before, like we need to, keep going and developing the system and move on to land titles and the PPSA and the PPSR and getting it all finalized because we know that we did what we had to do with surrendering it and claiming it and bringing us back to life, but we still need to file it in their corruption.
That's right.
So that they can talk,
That's right. And then again, this is where it's going to be important that you go and you actually write out your affidavit and have your wife and Josh here and Mark to help you write your shit out so that you have a detailed, dialed in affidavit that is irrefutable evidence, because we know for a fact that court script is going to come back scrubbed.
Yeah. Okay.
And now you're going to say, Your Honor, I was denied my equitable due process right here when I said this and you said that. And then I said this and then you said that. And you can have a list of that. So clearly, Your Honor, I'm being denied my civilian due process equitable protections. That's why we're going to chambers. And that's why we're having a rehearing. Ding, ding. Round 2.
Woo!
Yeah. And this time, the public bullshit law, that's not allowed in this time. Because now you're the plaintiff. And what did the plaintiff bring in for a jurisdiction? The 20 maxims. That'll do.
Oh, I stated those too. I landed some good ones. And I was like, oh, by the way, if you want to use a statute, Your Honor, equity will not allow a statute to be used as a cloak for fraud, Your Honor. And I was just fucking nailing them,
Wow. That's awesome. That's so good.
But you know what? Like, I did it by your help, Darren, and your words, like, in your videos that I've in all Dean's from. We watched, like, oh my God, for the last 4 weeks, all your stuff, or 5 weeks, all your stuff has been like just coming in. I've just been absorbing.
Awesome.
But for like a while before I was all in the common law, and so it's like you just need to forget what you learned, move into equity, trust the system that you guys have put together, and just absorb it and then stand on it and
just go. Yeah, awesome.
Go hard.
Go hard. And it sounds like you did.
The most funniest part of the day was, right? Do you want to say this about when you went back in? So we decided to go back to the court. Me, Jade, and Mark decided to go back to the court and just get everyone's names, because we thought, we've got to do affidavits. We want to get everyone's names and that. Anyway, so then we asked the sheriff, and we said, "Oh, where's that adverse claim on that security?" And they said, "Oh, it's still in there. No one wants to touch it." And we're like, so you're not going to grab it? And she's like, I'm not touching it. You know, the magistrate doesn't want to touch it. It's just still sitting there on the table. So we're like, the cleaner's probably going to come in. They'll just go, cleaner, throw that.
I love this.
That is see what you guys, even though it was a bit of a sneak attack, by doubling up on that security, like, again, smart move, man, on your part. By, like, I know we were sort of talking about that, and I think I said, yeah, just have it on standby, have it ready just in case. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, because I had evidence that it's been received, right? And we made we made the Postmaster General of the post office put our documents into the envelope,
nice.
And then sign that he put them in, weigh it, and then post it off.
Wow.
So, like, we know it's there. I know they had it.
Yeah.
They just blanked it. But that's why we just thought, let's go another one just to ensure that, because I want to ask, when I say I put forth evidence of an adverse claim here now, Your Honor, does that automatically like go in to the case?
Yeah, absolutely. But they're just not gonna acknowledge it publicly because you just slipped her an envelope full of dynamite.
Yeah.
And they're not going to jump. The judge isn't going to jump up in a public courtroom and do a little dance and say, "Oh my God, James, you figured it out. You figured it out." You know, and with all these people looking or cameras in the background, no, they got to protect that system as much as they can. And you made it very difficult for her to do that.
Yeah.
And as the police were taking James out, I turned around and the magistrate said, due to the absence of Mr. Lisk, we're now going to proceed on his behalf, right?
Sure.
And I was like, how funny is this? And then the news did a hit piece on it that night, and they said, because another thing too James said was he put the paper down, he said, Mr. Lisk is a fictitious entity. He's deceased, he's dead, you know, and this is him here, you know. Wow. And then so the media wrote, Mr. Lisk claims he's dead. Yet he's turned up to court and the magistrate said he was absent. So the media said he was there. The judge said he's absent. Like, it's just a mess. And I'm just thinking, I can't wait to see what happens with it.
And the media also put, like, they released the first, like, you know, thing that they said, Mr. Lisk put forth a claim, put forth a plea in abatement. This is what they said. They didn't say abatement. They said he put forth a plea because he was no longer in possession of the legal title. That's what they said.
This is in the paper.
That's what they said.
They put this in the paper.
It's an abatement. They said he put forth a plea in abatement because he no longer was in the possession of the character which was being pursued. They said, but it was sued, you know? And I was like, but they think they deleted it.
No.
They haven't deleted it. They seem like.
We got a copy of it anyway.
We got a copy, but yeah.
Guys, that's huge.
It's fun.
It was. Man, I didn't know I had it in me, to be honest, and I was so nervous fucking in there.
I know it.
James, you're so different even from the last time we talked to you. Your confidence, your language is just flowing from you. Good for you. You studied, you showed up, you know.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. I studied, and that's what I did. I studied and I rehearsed, and I did trial runs, and I got a good support team now. Like, I never had it before until the town found out I was against the lie, and then the people who were against the lie started showing love, and now we've got the support network around us of 60, 70 people who are all ready to fight, you know. So I'm the first one, I'm the trailblazer for this, but Josh plus 50 other people are going to be, let's do it, you know. So
we like to thank the Australian government for bringing us all together.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the corruption in the media to make me look like this crazy nut, and then everyone else finding me and going, oh, it's okay, we hear you, man, we know. So the universe smiles on everyone if you're willing to receive it. So
no doubt. Awesome job, guys. Fantastic.
Impressive.
I think I know Mark. He was mentioning me going. I had a few questions. So I'll just. Do you want to jump in, Mark, to ask?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure. Yeah. All good. So.
Cool. I think you've answered most of the questions. There were two things that are a bit confusing for me. Sort of in Australia, I'm not sure whether it's the same in Canada, but we had we've got two. Well, James was in a local court, a district, or like a local country town local court. I'm facing more serious charges, so I'm in sort of a more central court in the middle of the city.
Okay.
Now there's you've got the judge and you've got the magistrate. In one court, you've got the coat of arms, which is a kangaroo and an emu, and the other court you've got a lion and a unicorn. Does it matter which court you're in, or whether you're with a magistrate or a judge, or it's just all the same thing happening?
The public case will be public with black robe on. Once we flip the jurisdiction through the abatement, that all the coats of arms in the background, all that public stuff goes to the side. And now you're actually, that whole jurisdiction is set aside, because that's all still military, believe it or not. So now you're coming into equity, which is the ecclesiastical side, which is the side where mercy and forgiveness are granted, grace. So again, as soon as you can prove to the court that you have clean hands, which you're going to do ahead of time. I mean, I know James kind of squeaked it in there at the last minute, but still, when you give it to him the day before court, that's still kind of a sneak attack. You know, it is.
Yeah, in about 2 weeks, so I've got a bit of time.
Yeah.
With the plea, I'm going to put my plea in. In the first instance, the judge actually put a plea in for me. Yeah, okay. Which is obviously not right. So I'm just going to put that letter in the plea of abatement anyway.
Yep, absolutely. The abatement crushes all of it. And the fact that you're getting it in as your first plea versus your second, that's actually more strong for you, believe it or not.
So let me just help, because Mark said he went to court, and this was kind of before we knew all this, new language. And he didn't want to enter into a plea because he knew that was the wrong thing, but the judge answered him into a not guilty plea.
That's okay. As long as it didn't come from him, then he has not admitted to it.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Yeah. All that they could do now is, unless a substantial rebuttal appears on the record, they can proceed. They can just keep proceeding. Even though Mark hasn't agreed to it, he hasn't offered any evidence to crush it either.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So should he mention, should he rebut the proceedings to continue due to this, the plea and abatement?
Yeah. The abatement actually does that for you.
So there's no new language, it's same thing. Okay.
And it'll be word for word, your abatement. In the next couple of days, I might be able to find a better piece of Australian legislation, or I might be able to just refine it just a touch. But again, the critical part here is that he's getting it in a little ahead of schedule. Plus, he'll be able to probably get a little bit of output from land titles that are also going to really help, so that there's no way that court case can proceed. He literally just took the rug out from underneath of it.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yep. I've already put a whole lot of stuff on the PPSR registered.
Yep.
You were saying that we have to register. I've registered my straw man, my birth certificate, my lowercase name, my uppercase name.
Yeah. It actually.
How do we proceed?
Yep.
How do we proceed with the registering? What do we need to register now? Or can I give the court to say, like, checkmate to them before it begins?
Yeah, you know what? As soon as you file it at land titles, that's enough evidence to tell the court, hey, there's something going on over here that may affect the record, which means they can't go to the record for evidence now because it's under renovation. Something's happening to the record. So the record is actually unstable. They can't rely on the record because contractors showed up and they're repainting it. It got new windows. It's not the same anymore. The record's different. Now they can't go to the record to find you liable because the record actually shows the Crown is liable. So they don't want to use that record anymore. Ooh, that's a hot potato.
Awesome.
Yeah. And the land titles output. So when we surrender the birth certificate under the adverse claim, we do the affidavit and such with that. The next step is basically moving into land titles and registering.
Yeah.
Not registering.
Getting your interest registered. And again, registered is the public version of getting your stuff filed or getting it lodged. Same idea. But yeah, the word registration is actually very specific, and we should be using that with a little bit of mindfulness. But technically, yeah. So they're going to take it, they're going to accept it, and they're going to print out a special piece of paper for you that has a bunch of numbers on it and a whole bunch of evidence that the court can now see, that evidences the fact that an equitable estate exists. Once the judge has evidence that an equitable estate exists, the judge and every court of it must come to your rescue and help you now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yep. It's a big deal. So the fact that you got that far with, let's just say, not as much done at land titles as you could have, because we didn't have enough time for you. you still pulled off some pretty incredible stuff without the land titles, the filings. And to have the sheriff say that nobody wants to touch it,
So great.
what does that tell you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
She said no one knows what it is.
Yeah, and the thing is, as soon as like no one, they knew it was dangerous, right? And they knew I knew what I was talking about. So when I put it forth, the sheriff's like, "Oh wow, I'm not touching that." You know?
Because whoever's in possession of it now is actually liable.
Yeah,
That's how this works.
So the courts, the public building itself,
Yes.
which is the clerk. The clerk is now in charge of paperwork.
Yes.
Is she not obliged to,
Yes.
or to take it and store it and do whatever she's got to do with it?
Yeah, there's no way they would have left it on the table for the night cleanup crew to have it. Yeah, no way.
Okay.
It's sitting in the vault. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Too funny.
So good.
That's an awesome story. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mark, if you have any more questions, my friend, if you don't have my email specifically, get it from James or Josh, and
No, thank you.
yeah, fire questions my way, and I'll help with these guys. We'll help build for you while we're building James's next move, and so on. And by the time this all happens, we'll have 5 more people in this chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got mountains of people reaching out, and I'm like, I need to know what I'm doing first. But like, they can follow my lead. But if they got more than 3 days, the land titles, it solidifies it. So I'm glad I haven't told anybody what I'm doing yet, because I don't want to lead them astray yet. So this is great Zoom call. So appreciate your time, and a good win to you guys. And
Yeah, well done, guys.
yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Let's we'll do another one of these in another few days. How's that sound?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
we're going to try to tackle the land title stuff to see what we come up with, some new legislation. Josh is a wizard at finding, the correct legislation, the acts. He's found a trustee act, which
it's a dynasty. That one's really good.
Yeah, I read the deceased part, and go.
Yeah, I saw one of the guys from Canada put up something about a guardian and trustee act, and I'm like, geez, I've never heard of that one before. And I typed it in, found our state one. I was like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just in bed. I ended up reading the whole thing. It took me about 3 hours, but I was just like, what? Holy crap. This is what gives them those administration privileges to be able to do what they do to deceased estates. And it even said that, unless someone comes forth and they're found living, or they've, they were missing and now they've been found. Like it's just so there in plain sight.
Here now.
And we've just been finding some really cool stuff. So.
It, right?
Yeah. And I'll just mention something that, because, and this is like new territory for everyone, but I'm Canadian, obviously, but I have a Canadian passport. I'm doing this in Australia, So if this gets somewhere, all the people worrying about, I'm living here, I got to send it home. Maybe we don't. Yeah. Maybe it's just going to be done here with everyone, because there's a lot of foreigners living here, right? Absolutely. And like a lot of people from the UK, South Africa, they're all here. So it's like, maybe we don't need to waste the time and sending it back home and just do it here in the local courts. You know?
And I totally agree with that. I believe that is possible, and I believe that's what we'll be able to do here right away.
Yeah, well, let's do it.
Yep.
I'm ready to go.
Awesome. And I don't know if you gentlemen know, we do, well, of course you guys would know about the Australian group that we have going. So apparently you guys are just like talking all amongst yourselves and uploading documents and really sharing. So thank you so much for really leading the front on that, because lots of people are looking to your story. And
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but the websites, we haven't really been on it much because we haven't seen, it needs some love, I think, the groups. Yeah, I believe you're working with Josh to try to tweak a few things. And
we're going to be meeting with Matt as well, and Kim, and maybe Josh, if you don't mind, we could jump on with you as well, just to kind of finalize a few things. But everyone's starting to see the functionality of it, and it's really coming together. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's working a lot better now than it was a few days ago. So yeah, it's going to be more user friendly now. So
yeah, a
little better every day. Right. So.
I can't wait for it to be up and with everything finished. It's a mountain of work to get it there, but once it's there, it's like, everyone is going to be like straight onto it. No one's going to be calling me going, "Oh, what do I do here and what do I do here?" It's like,
So when you guys get that group going, I'll pipe in on your group and I'll start dropping stuff and we'll start uploading documents and we'll start sharing right on the group that you guys have spinning right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
amazing, crazy.
All right, I'll talk to Kim and Matt and see if we can get that functionality set up with the attachments and that. So,
Yeah, sounds good. I'll keep you in the loop, Josh. I'll message you. So.
all right, thanks,
That's
Jody.
good.
Cheers.
We applaud you as Divergence over here. Good job for representing. I tell
Yeah.
you, we're so
Awesome.
proud of you.
Yeah, good job. guys.
Amazing. Thanks for the help, and let's keep doing this.
Yeah, you
Yep,
bet. You
that's
bet.
what it's about. Sharing successes, right? And yes, Darren will make sure, Mark, you're taken care of as well here.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
get
Yep,
with that.
yeah, no
so.
problem, guys.
Appreciate that.
Excellent. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for your time. And you betcha we look forward to more updates from you.
Awesome.
All
All
right.
right, see you guys.
Hey,
Take
guys.
care. Bye.
Talk
See you
soon.
guys.
Okay.